So it's been a while. This voiceover is going to be super rusty. But anyway, TLDR, what you're seeing in this video is that currently I'm painting an A5 size study of a photo I took quite some time ago earlier this year. I'll explain the lore on that later. But just know that right now, I wanted to challenge myself by drawing and painting something relatively larger than my comfort zone. Even though, as of editing this video, I've completely given up on this painting, I'm happy for the fact that it exists and that I have some nice footage of it that you're seeing in this video. Yay! Quite frankly, I'm surprised that I even did this. So if I get tired of drawing on Procreate, hopefully I get to do more traditional stuff. So yeah, for context, my experience with watercolors so far is doing relatively small studies as shown in my previous videos. I'll link them up there. I think there's 2 of them. That just shows how aware I am of my own YouTube channel. But yeah, there should be 2 of them. And if I were to give a rough estimate, these studies are roughly the size of my fist, I guess, because they're done on A4 and these studies are really small and quick. So I don't think they're too large. They're supposed to just help me practice mixing colors and, more importantly, just get me acclimated to actually painting, because I don't paint regularly, so I just do these small studies to get back in the grind of things. Do these attempts actually look good? No. But I'm still happy that I did it anyway. What I realized from doing this larger painting is that I prefer painting larger. So for example, to bring it back to a different medium, for digital art, I realized I struggle less with drawing people's faces if they take up a larger proportion of the canvas/composition. I think it's because I can zoom in and out more easily and see the bigger picture quicker and in less time, and to just see how the proportions and facial structure look in one go. It's also easier for me to correct little mistakes with Liquify without needing to obsess over the pixel quality, if that makes sense. So what happens, if you don't know, what happens is if you resize your drawing too much, your line art too much with the Liquify tool or warping tool, the quality tends to go down super quickly. Another thing that I like about drawing bigger digitally is the fact that I have more space to really get in really confident bold lines, phew, phew, rather than constantly having to zoom in and just chip away at minuscule details that literally do not matter, and which results in line art that often looks way too fuzzy, because I like to include a lot of details like contouring of the cheek and all that. Yeah, not cute. So drawing bigger is the way for me in terms of digital art. For traditional art on paper, meanwhile, while I still do enjoy getting those really bold, confident lines in, especially with pen. I have not drawn in pen in a very long time though. But yeah, while I still enjoy that, it comes with the extra anxiety of making mistakes without the undo button. When I'm drawing with pencil, for this sketch at least, I get very anxious about not really making mistakes, but about erasing these mistakes. If you erase paper too much, right, 2 things could happen for me. The first thing is it could leave marks. If I press the pencil too hard, it'll leave a dent in the paper and it'll stain with a dark ugly gray color. That's one thing. The other thing is, if I erase too much and with too much force, the paper fibers will tear, and when that happens, it becomes impossible to work with. And so I would much rather avoid that as much as humanly possible. So that's very anxiety inducing. However, once the sketch is actually done and when you start painting, that's when things get really fun. At least for me, in retrospect, now that I'm watching my pretty painting B-roll while recording this voiceover. I feel like painting is really therapeutic, especially when you get into the zone. Like when it comes to like mixing colors, I really enjoy like taking the time to make sure that every color I mix is correct, right? Like it is the color that it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? And not only that, when it actually comes time to apply these colors onto the page, like paintbrush to paintbrush, I find that really, really relaxing. I like just moving the brush like slowly across the paper and just seeing paint get deposited onto the paper, especially. And I also really like doing wet on wet techniques for this reason. I like using like taking a clean brush, wetting it with water, and just drag out the edges to blend it out a bit. So I really enjoyed that, and I think drawing bigger gives me more room to play with gradient shifts like that. Yeah. These gradient shifts are especially fun in this particular reference image, which I'll give you context for now. Okay, so I wish I could show you the actual image, but for the sake of the law generally, I won't show it to you, but I'll describe it to you in as much detail as I can. So the photo itself, for context, is taken at around 5:30 to 6:30 ish in the evening on the way home from an afternoon class. So at the time, I was in the bus to the train station with my friend, and this lady and her friend was sitting like in the seats in front of the window, so they were like backlit, and this backlit lighting resulted in their faces and their whole like person generally to be bathed in this dark red overcast shadow, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. At the time as well, this lady and her friend were just chatting, and they were having a good time laughing, so I was really lucky to manage to get a photo of them having a good time, right? And I really like capturing moments when people are actually emoting rather than just looking at their phones. I feel like that just adds another layer of humanity in a way. It adds an extra special something to the image. Like it gives it more life and a lot more personality, and I really like that a lot. While reflecting on the sort of reddish glows, kind of sunburnt looking colors of this lady's like skin tone or whatever, I'm suddenly like more aware of how sunlight actually looks. Let me explain. So in the morning, I realized that sunlight tends to look a bit orange. So when like I walk out of my house on the way to the train station, I see that the sun looks orange, kind of, especially like if it rains the night before. And this orange sunlight gives everything this really pleasant glow. It's like a period of heat, of hotness after a relatively cold night. It just gives me that sort of 感觉啦. And then when it comes to the late afternoon, not late afternoon, like noon, like at 12 p.m, right? You see that the sunlight gets white in color. And what does that mean? It means you get bright white highlights, dark shadows, like dark gray shadows, and cooler colors like blue, green, and lemon yellow pop out way more, and you get this like candy colored kind of look. Very pretty. And when you get to the late evening, late afternoon, as the sun is setting, things get redder, more orange. That is personally my favorite type of lighting. You still get that sunlight, but now you're in this liminal space as we transition to night, a period of rest. I find that lighting very charming. Honestly, now that I'm reflecting on this, I feel like just lighting makes a huge difference. I like that something as simple, as mundane as sunlight can give me a sense of magic, a sense of beauty in this mundane world of mine. I just realized I rambled for way longer than I thought I would, so I want to spend like this last couple moments in this video just talking about my thoughts on this painting like more seriously, now that I've given you like way too much context. So here I am, right, like painting something from start to finish. I'm not sure if you can tell by the difference in lighting, but I've actually spread out this painting process over several weekends. So think of it as like one painting session, one afternoon here and then another afternoon there, that kind of thing. So it's quite messy now that I think about it. Like, why didn't I just have a proper painting session where I just sit down and finish this in one shot? No, I know why actually. Okay, so there's two reasons why I don't do this. The first reason is because filming is a pain. I just like looking at pretty footage, but the act of actually getting said pretty footage, huge pain. Hate it, okay? The process of setting up my camera just takes up, not even my camera, my phone, like just getting my tiny ass little chair and just propping my phone up takes effort on top of the effort it takes to get the water jug, wet my paint brushes and all that. Setting up, too much effort. I have no attention span. What a chore. Whatever. And also here's the other issue. Sunlight is transient. And like I said before, the sunlight changes color from afternoon to evening, right? And because I want the lighting to be consistent throughout the video, I can't really afford to sit down and paint this in one shot. I mean, I could, but then I'll have to plan for a video like that, which obviously I didn't plan for this one lah. Obviously not. So that's the problem. So I split the painting sessions into several sessions so that I can ensure that my lighting is more consistent. The second reason is because if I spend way too long in one session, my headspace gets jumbled up and I get tired, and I second guess myself and I make legitimate mistakes which future me will kill me, pass me for. It gets to a point where you feel like every brushstroke you add to the painting is more of a mistake than a value add to the final piece. And I'm not dumb, okay? I might be tired, but I know full well that that's happening. Like, I know I'm making the final product worse, but I'm not in the right state of mind to be able to actually change it, right? And so I hate myself even more. Self-condescending, if that's even a word. Frankly, let's talk about the actual painting for a minute here. Frankly, I don't like this painting. I despise it. When I was painting it at the time, I thought it looked good. I thought I ate, but no. The brushstrokes are actually really sloppy and aren't very intentional. The brushwork on her jaw is especially like sloppy, and I feel like the effort I spent into getting the anatomy and facial structure right was sort of lost, especially near her other eye. Like, I didn't paint it on purpose, but when I was looking at like the final illustration by the end of it, I realized that the other eye was just way too low, and girl, I was so ashamed of it. But yeah, self-critique aside, I think I did a good job sticking to a consistent color palette. I like the red tones that I got going on here. I like doing that red underwash at the start of the painting. I feel like it gives the colors a more unified look. I also liked the attempt at getting color variation in the shadows. I thought that was nice. And I also liked the way I did her hair. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the super rambly video. Thank you so much for the 200 subs. I know this channel is dying, but thank you so much for subscribing. In case you're curious, I'm planning on starting a random newsletter soon where I update you monthly on the random art shenanigans that I'm going to be up to. Link in the description box below so that you can be on top of my very first newsletter in like 2 years. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around. Bye bye. Mwah.